What's up YouTube, this is Roy from Third Duelist, and today I have with me Alex, and he's going to be profiling his Shadolls.
Alright, well, I first started playing Shadolls when they were in the OCG. I just like the style. It's more of me, I guess. I like to have a lot of options, and I feel like with Shadolls you have a lot of options. I play the meta variant right now, Denko Dolls, but I'm going to jump right into the profile. I play 3 Beast. It's really good for draw power. Pretty self-explanatory. You either flip it, draw 2, discard 1, or you pitch it and draw 1. With the 2 Shadoll dragons, it's a floatable MST. When you flip, you can target something and return it back to the hand. Some variations run 3. I feel like 2 is really solid because if you end up with 1 in the hand first turn, yeah, it's good to have something face down, but you really want this as utility for the graveyard effect to get the spell or trap pop, because honestly in this format where Fire Lake is a thing, Snatch Steal is a thing, Skill Drain's a thing, Vanity's a thing, you need to pop back row, and with the worst matchup, Clifford, you need to be able to pop back row. So I can see where 3 would be nice, but I think 2 is great. Squamata, this is just another floater. You usually want to pitch this in from the deck. I don't run 3, I've also seen 3, but I just feel like if you draw one of these, that's always bad. You don't want to draw this, you want to pitch this from the deck so you can get another Shadoll of your choice into the graveyard so you can get that effect. I only run 1 Hedgehog. I guess it just depends on the situation. For me, I feel like having too many Hedgehogs is not always good because you don't want Hedgehog too late in the game. You don't want to run 3 Hedgehogs, so you either want to run 2 or 1. Running 2, I feel like, is less optimal because you want to run 2 of these, I feel like. Because if you can get this on the field either first turn or you have this mid to late game, it's just another body on the field, or you can get another one of your Shadolls out, I guess, when it's your turn, flip it. And either get a beast or whatever you need to be utilized at that time. I just feel like Falco at 2 is really good. Some users feel like Falco's good at 1, but I feel like Falco has more utility at 2 than Hedgehog does at 2. So that's why I chose Falco at 2 and Hedgehog at 1. And that's the Shadoll lineup. After that, we go with 2 Denko Seka. Really, the only reason I have 2 Denko Sekas is because I don't have a 3rd Denko Seka. This card is so important in this deck because you really don't need to have a lot of back row in Shadolls because, like I said earlier, you have a lot of protection, or not so much protection, but options with Shadolls. So with Denko Seka, you get to shut down troublesome back row. Like if you can get Denko Seka first turn, that's solid. That's why you want to run it at 3. So you already eliminate skill drain, vanities, problems like that because Shadoll special summon a lot, and you definitely want to be able to OTK them because if you are in a matchup with Clifford or Burning Abyss and they can go in more than 3 turns, I really feel like you're in for a hassle. You need to try to get them out of the game, down to 0 as quick as possible because, I mean, that's kind of the point of Yu-Gi-Oh! Is to get your opponent down to 8,000, or from 8,000 to 0. So fast you can get Denko out and have a Shadoll fusion in your hand, yeah, you're going to be setting up for optimal plays. I run 1 BLS because you can only run 1 BLS, and if you could run 3 BLS, everyone would be running 3 BLS, but it's BLS, man. No need for explanation. Run 1 Dark Arm, once again, only can run 1, but in this deck where you can run things like Collop Serpent and stuff that can banish to get the combo of Eclipse going off. It's just optimal. So we go 2 Wyver Burster, 2 Collop Serpent. Now some people run 3 Wyver Burster, some people want 3 Wyver Burster and 1 Collop. I see where they're coming from, but I feel like there's just too many times where you have an Eclipse Wyvern in the graveyard soon. You have that early game, but you don't have anything to banish it. And I feel like that's kind of the point of having these guys in there, so you have more targets to banish Eclipse Wyvern, so you can get your Dark Arm Dragon into your hand faster and on the field as fast as possible. So I feel like running these two helps with consistency. Yeah, you can run this at 3 and this at 1, but I feel like you would just draw into this Collop Serpent a little faster. I run 1 Eclipse Wyvern because you only have 1 target. You don't want to draw this. You always want to either, if you do draw this, I mean it's slower, get it on the field, and then get it in the graveyard, or you can just get it straight from the deck to the graveyard, which is optimal. 2 Honest, just because now that you can run 2 Honest and you have triple Denko and you have Construct, it's just really nice to have that extra attack power. 3 Mathematician. I feel like this is really good to start out with. Get your plays going off. I've seen some people run it at 2, but I feel like this really helps with consistency. Now on to the spells. I play 5 fusions, 2 El Shadoll fusions, and 3 Shadoll fusions. I see a lot of people doing the double play set, having 3 El Shadoll fusions and 3 Shadoll fusions. I see how you can draw in. You want to draw into them fast, but if you draw into too many, or if you draw in, really that's the only reason you want to run 2, or at least I run 2, is because you don't want to draw into them too fast. And if you have too many, it's kind of a dead card. So you don't want dead cards in this deck. You just want it to go off really fast. I run 2 MST and 1 Night Beam for the back row destruction. Night Beam at 1 has been really nice because you can get in. It's pretty much like running 3 MST. You can't target a face-up, yeah, but more times than not, I've been able to utilize this because they can't respond to this card's activation, which is really nice, especially when you hit Fire Lake or the problem cards like Skill Drain or Vanities. And yeah, that's why I run 1. I run 1 Book of Moon for the 1-ofs, 1 Foolish Burial, Raigeki. These cards, pretty nice. This card can be sideboarded out at times, but it's really nice to have. It's kind of just another Mathematician, which is great. Book of Moon helps a lot. You can either Book of Moon and target one of your monsters, Shadolls, I mean, get the flip effects. You can get that twice in a row, it's great. Raigeki, I feel like has a lot of utility in the deck, just because anytime you can clear a board, it's solid. Yeah, Burning Abyss gets their effects, and so do Shadolls in the mirror match, but clearing a board is solid. And if you have an Abyss Dweller with Raigeki, yeah, that's really good, because the top 3, Cliff Forts, Shadolls, and Burning Abyss, are all problems, and Raigeki gets rid of those with Abyss Dweller on the field. Now, my last spell is a tech choice that I've personally been trying to get this on, but Battle Fusion. Battle Fusion is an honest for all my fusions. Mainly Winda. Winda would be great if it had Construct's attack, but it doesn't. Now running running 1 isn't as consistent, but having Honest in there really helps the lights, Denko and Construct. But for things like Shekinaga and Grista and Winda especially, this card really helps, and no one really expects this card to be coming because they run into a Winda this laying face down, they lose every time. Now for the traps, pretty standard. You don't really want to run a lot of traps in Denko deck, so I run 2 Sinister Shadow games and 2 Shadoll core. I've seen where people run 1 core and 3 Sinister Shadow games, but this card is terrible late game. You really don't want to have this card late game because by that time you already have wasted a lot of your resources, and you don't want to send a Shadoll Hedgehog or something like that to the graveyard when you don't have any targets in your deck. So that's why I run 2. And Shadoll Core is a target for Grista because Grista is arguably one of the best Shadolls. Construct and Grista are great. Grista, because of its effect, you can negate the special summon. I mean, Vanity is the thing right now. You can run that at 3, and that negates special summoning. So once we have a little more, I guess, utility cards to run in Shadoll so we can get the fire out faster, I guess you could maybe just run 1 Shadoll core, but I feel like since the water one isn't out yet, it doesn't have enough synergy. I mean, with that you could run Fire and Ice Hand, and then you could probably cut this to 1, but until then, I feel like Shadoll core is good at 2 just because of its utility. If you get this from the deck to the grave, you get back Shadoll Fusion. With Construct's effect, with Squamata's effect. If you get this in hand, you can set this and just kind of sit on it if you don't already have a Shadoll Fusion in hand. And then by turn 2, you can get your Fusion back, which is really optimal. And that is another reason why I only run 5 of the Fusions, because 2 Shadoll Core allows me to recycle those Fusions a lot easier. And that is the lineup for the traps. Alright, for the extra deck, 2 Shekinaga, 2 Construct, 2 Winda, and 1 Grista. These are the Shadolls we have right now until we get the water one and the wind one. But I mean, the wind one's not great. But for now, this is the lineup I have. 2 Shekinaga because you really don't make Shekinaga a lot, but it's nice when they already have like a Burning Abyss out or anything special summoned out. That has an effect because I mean everything has effects now, and this is solid for negating and destroying. But I mean you don't always make it a lot. These are the 2 guys you're going to be using a lot: Construct and Winda. Construct running at 2. I mean I've seen people run it at 3, but I don't. If you're getting into a 3rd Construct, you're already, I want to say it's already too late into the game. You're using it probably just for another body on the field, because if you don't get your opponent to 0 by turn 3 or 4, you've already gone too late in the game, especially in the meta. If you're in turn 3 and 4 with Cliff Voice, you're screwed. And that's why I feel like running 2 is solid, because as far as utility goes, you should only be using 2. Same thing goes with Winda. I could see how you want to run Winda at 3, and honestly, if I didn't run Grista, I would probably run Winda at 3, just because of the fact that you can kind of control your opponent with her effect of being able to stifle them down to 1 special summon per turn, which is solid. And Grista, like I said, arguably one of the best Shadoll fusions, just because you can negate the special summon, which special summoning is pretty prevalent in this game right now, and it's just really nice to be able to negate stuff like that. For the Synchro, play Star Eater. I can make this with the Shadoll core and Falco really easily, which is the play I often go for. Star Eater gets over Cliff Ford's 3200 attack beat stick, pretty solid. Leo, another 3100 attack beat stick. You can't target him. It's Leo, solid card. Yazi is awesome. Another non-targeting 2600 beat stick, easier to make than Leo. It's just awesome. You can't target it, easy to make. Go Yazi. Sehemoth just because the banishing effect. It's a 2400 attack, yeah, but that really is irrelevant because you're just trying to banish that target, your opponent's target, which is really optimal because you can banish Burning Abyss or Triver. Stellar Knight Triver, yeah, that's also a thing. Super annoying. Anytime you can banish a boss monster, take advantage of it. Armades, just because Armades is Armades, you can't activate card effects until the end of the damage step, so that cuts down a lot of plays, which is optimal. For the Exes, Abyss Dweller. Abyss Dweller is the MVP for the Exes, just because it stops Burning Abyss, and Burning Abyss is, I'd say, by far the best deck of the format. It's getting more support, so that sucks, but Abyss Dweller shuts stuff down. If you can get Denko on the field and get a Collapse Serpent and another level 4 out, yeah, Abyss Dweller and Denko shut down Burning Abyss, and that's optimal. Castell, because Castell is the best rank 4 in the game. You can send stuff back to the deck, and in this format that's really good because you don't want stuff going in the grave and you don't want to be destroying stuff, period. So if you can shuffle it back in the deck, yeah, it's back in the deck for them to get back on the field, but since it's such a fast-paced meta right now, it's really important to shut down plays as fast as possible. And finally, Exciton, because Exciton blows up fields. Yeah, I can't inflict any damage on them, but if I can make them go minus, that's solid. I mean, with Shadolls and Burning Abyss, they don't always go minus, but if I can get rid of that pesky back row, that's always good. Yeah, that's my deck profile for Denko Dolls, Chaos Shadolls, Splash, Denko, whatever you want to call it. If you guys have any ideas on what I could change or what you run in your Shadoll deck, put it in the comments below. Yeah, I really like Shadolls. I've been playing these for a long time. Yeah, solid deck.
Alright, if you guys just wanted the profile, you guys can go ahead and stop watching now, but I'm going to ask them a few questions, so if you guys are interested in some of the answers, go ahead and keep watching. First off, is there anything you would like to try out with the deck, anything you would change?
Yeah, I would definitely put in a third Denko, but I mean that card's really expensive. But if I had the third Denko, I would definitely put that in there. I mean, what else? I would probably experiment with maining Econs and Snatch Steals, just because those are really good main deck, but they're also really good side deck. There's arguments for the utilities either way. And a lot of that I feel like just has to deal with the tournament that you're at. It's all relevant to the tournament you're at. One tournament a lot of people could be playing main deck Snatch Steal or main deck Econs, and some can, I guess. It just all depends. And honestly, I would just say the Grista. I would probably take out Grista until there's more targets and throw in a third window. Yeah, I would also like to experiment with putting another Battle Fusion in, but honestly, that wouldn't be as competitive. It would just be for fun play. But Yeah, that's probably all I would change is the Grista, and maybe splashing in Snatch Steel and Econ. So yeah, those would probably be the changes that I would make if I made any, or if I experiment with anything else.
All right, and then I got some questions on some tech choices. I noticed you didn't have a 101. I know Castell's better, but if you had the room, would you still include 101?
Yeah, I that was something that was on the border, because I see where there's utility with three windows, but I also think that for consistency, running two of all of the fusions is really nice because you want to be trying to get your opponent to zero. You really want to try to OTK them because of the fast format we're in. So a 101 would also be in contention for that Grista spot, because Grista right now is just on the borderline of not being super useful because Shadol Core. Yeah, I can use Shadol Core with that Shadol Falco and probably make my Grista, but more times than not, I need that Star Eater out for the beat stick and the fact that they can't activate any cards on its special summon, which is really important because I don't want any of my plays getting interrupted. Nobody wants their plays getting interrupted. But once there's a little more utility for Grista, I really feel like that card will be played more.
All right, I noticed you mentioned the hands when the water fusion comes out. You're probably going to experiment with it. How well do you think it's going to work out? Because destruction isn't too key last format or this format, and it probably won't be too key next format either.
Yeah, I agree. Fire hand, because when Hat was a thing, Fire hand was the shit because you couldn't pop, or you could pop the monster and it wouldn't get like a grave effect. But now that back row is really heavy and pendulum summoning is really heavy with Clifforts, Ice Hand is going to be really utilized in any variant that is running hand Shadolls. So because now once you run Ice Hand, you kind of cut out the need for an MST, or you could keep that MST, the MSTs, and just run more back row destruction, because I feel like the hands are going to help with the answer to Clifforts. But it all depends on if this water fusion is solid, because if the water fusion is if the wind fusion is any indication of the water fusion, we're in trouble. Well, the Shadoll players are in trouble just because the water needs to be good for the Shadoll to survive and for the hand Shadoll variant to work, which I think it can. It's just the water fusion has to be good, and if the water fusion is good, then that means Grista is going to see more utility, and I think Shekinah is going to see less, because you can run more special summon negation, and that's always a good thing. You can pop a monster, get out a nice hand, they try to destroy that, their back row's in trouble. So there's use for the hands. And then the hands give use to the water and fire Shadolls. So I think there's a lot of synergy in that deck. It's gonna need some play testing. I ran a version of it, I guess, when Hat was a thing, when Shadolls just came out. Shadoll, hands, artifacts, trap tricks, and there was just too much going on there. So maybe if you cut out the trap tricks and the artifacts, you might have something, or maybe there might be a Shadoll artifact hand build. Regardless, I'm definitely going to try that hand splashing in with Shadolls.
All right, I've seen some variations include glow up bulb for the Shekinah, and they had like 2 mathematicians and 1 glow up bulb. Also for the synchro plays too. Have you ever considered it, or would you consider putting glow up bulb in?
I've considered putting glow up bulb in. It's a one of, and I guess you could use the math with the glow up bulb. Once you get math in the field, just use that to throw the glow up bulb in there. But I just don't see that as effective as just not having it in altogether. It's not as competitive as I guess my builder builds like it. With Glow Bulb, I feel like because it is a one of, it's going to be really inconsistent. Yeah, you have the target for Shekinah, but why not just have a third mathematician and just have that for consistency, so you can get the math on the field and then start your plays in the graveyard, which is where the Shadolls like to be.
All right. I've talked to a few other Shadoll players, and if the water fusion is going to be decent enough, not only were they talking about the hands, but a heavier monster lineup that includes the two each of the Clasper and the Wyvern Buster, and then two Wyverns, and then Red Eyes, Darkness Metal Dragon, and the Dad, and then including the Dragon Rulers. Would you ever consider that?
That would be. I've never heard of that build, but that would be disgusting. That that would be crazy, just because of all of that synergy with the different elements of the Dragon Rulers matching up with the different elements of the Shadolls. And I mean, if you could have Denko in there too, you already don't need to run a lot of back row just because of Denko. So yeah, that would have some crazy utility, some crazy. Oh my gosh, yeah, that would be so much fun. Yeah, I'm gonna have to check that out, honestly.
All right. What do you feel is your best matchup, and what do you feel is your worst matchup?
Worst matchup is Clifford's, definitely. Yeah, it's no fun. Just because because skill drain, man, skill drain vanities, that just shuts down pretty much everything. And I feel like the only deck that has any good matchup with that is Burning Abyss. I feel like Burning Abyss, if we're talking just the top three in the meta right now, I guess you could throw 4 in there with Satellar Knights. If we're talking my best matchup in those, Satellar Knights is a pretty good matchup, but it's the weaker of the 4. Of Clifford's and Burning Abyss, I want to say Burning Abyss is a better matchup just because Denko Seka and Abyss Dweller, that combo, if you can get that off, you can usually beat Burning Abyss pretty easily. I don't want to say pretty easily, but it's, I mean, they can't activate anything, which is exactly what you want to happen.
All right, one last question. How do you feel about Super Poly getting hit?
I obviously don't like it because I'm a Shadoll player. I see where they're coming from because I get to use. No, honestly, I don't know. I say they shouldn't have hit it. If you're gonna let Snatch Steal come back and I can use my opponent's monsters, well, why can't I just keep using Super Poly? I mean, Fire Lake's a thing, and that's pretty much a +5. Super Poly, I don't even get to use my Shadolls effects from my hand because usually you're trying to discard a Shadoll, but it's a cost, so you don't get the Shadolls effect. So it really doesn't matter what you discard. So I want to say it's unfair, but Burning Abyss is Konami's baby, so they want to try to protect that, and they're darks. So if you can Super Poly. If you can Super Poly against Burning Abyss, yeah, that's going to be great because it's a dark target and you just got out a window. They just went minus and you just started the negation special summon. They can only special summon one time. I mean, yeah, I see why they did it, but I wish they wouldn't have.
All right, I know this has been a pretty long video. I just wanted to say thanks for watching. If you have any comments on the deck or any of his answers to the questions or any other questions you would like him to answer, go ahead and let us know in the comments. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to click like and subscribe.